Ladies and gentlemen, let's beat the game. Any guesses how long this is going to be? Everyone watching on the VOD's like, well, it's this long, huh? Tomorrow. Oh. Oh, I feel that in my soul. Oh, Jesus Christ. If I don't beat this game this shift... Well, if I can't figure out how to land... Okay, for real, how do I land? Oh my god. Okay. I can't land in the water either. Deploy the landing gear, level up, and crash into every nearby structure. Oh my god, I found the one pixel where I could land. Jesus freaking Christ. Okay. Not worth my time. Is this the hole or is the other thing the hole? This is like the anime. Where am I going? Am I in the wrong place? I think I'm in the wrong place. Jesus Christ. I'm in the wrong place, I think. I'm not even sure if I'm in the right place. Let's go to the other northwest dot, which I wouldn't call very north or west. Hey, okay, that's probably Deus right there. What's up, buddy? Surely I can land the grass, right? Hey, there we go. I hate everything in the entire universe. I've decided to start my villain arc because I played Xenogears. Alright, what's the final dungeon music? It's gonna be a banger, right? It's definitely not gonna be the same song we've been hearing for, like, 3 days. The mapping in the inside of Deus is now complete. Okay, let's go, everyone. Oh man, listen to this final dungeon music. Oh god. I think this game is killing me. I think I'm having a stroke. Okay. Okay, okay. What is this nonsense? Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't even put question bot up. Alright. So what makes Resident Evil 7, 8, 9 beatable? They're horror games. That's it. That's the answer. That really is it. Well, I mean, 8 is less so 8 is not vetoed. But 7 is. And 7 is a horror game. Like, I'm sorry. If you look at the Resident Evils, like, say, 2 or 5, and you say, hey, check it out. Horror. We're going to have some words. And I just realized I answered your question in the inverse, but I stand by it. Resident Evil is not horror. Except for 7. 7 was a... We talked about this when we were going through it. 7 was a deliberate attempt to course correct to horror. So much so that they pulled back from that with 8. Have you ever played Resident Evil 1? Crazy Doors. Why is my arrow facing? There you go, Crazy Doors. You have made my point for me. Chill. No. Shake again. Shake again. I even shut it off during the run. Fuel leak. That's true. If you're lactose intolerant, Resident Evil 1 is very terrifying. Please successfully run. Please. This is literally a waste of fuel. And I get nothing from combat at this point. I was actually thinking about that. Combat has actually reached the point of uselessness because there are no more ground battles. So, like, there's really no point in leveling. Like, ever again. And that means there's also no point in fighting anything. It's just a waste of fuel. If you still question why I don't call Resident Evil 1 a horror game, go watch the original Resident Evil 1 live-action opening video. For real. You're not going to miss anything. We're just going through the final done. It's cool. Wait, for real? Blue Dragon EXE? When was that announced? Where was that announced? Capcom's like, we're here too. I know we announced Resident Evil. Oh my god, the disrespect for Mega Man continues. They announced Monster Hunter and Resident Evil on the Nintendo Direct. And then, oh, by the way, Mega Man. Ah. Cool. Okay. This is actually really disorienting. Whoa. I don't think Capcom, quite frankly, has a mascot as of this moment in time. Oh god, this is really hard to control. Okay, we're good. Ah! Ah! Why is up not make me go up? Ah! God damn it! Oh, hey, sound. Okay. Well, that sure is a dungeon. I'd argue. Yeah, Konami's mascot is just money. Right, there we go. Good morning, Beard. Please, please kill me. I'm begging you. Do me this service. End my miserable life. Relieve me of this misery. Okay. Valerian, why? Why? Well, at least they have a brand new, unique song for the final dungeon. Look, I like Omen. It's my favorite song in the game, but for real. Yeah, what is this place? That's actually a good question. Why does it have gear-sized switches on it? Yeah, as a reminder, we could fly. Something that needs to keep being pointed out, because our characters keep forgetting about it. Hell of a distance just for this. Yeah, I could see that, Easy Maven. We are so far down the rabbit hole of cut content at this point. Like, it's cut content all the way down. There he is. God, way on the north end here. Thank you for healing all my gears. Because I screwed up on the falling sequence. Which I also partially blame on the game for having wonky controls. Yeah, that would be the definition of jank. controls that literally don't work right. I'll tell you exactly what was happening. So we were technically moving on a 2D plane, and it was rendering stuff behind us. But the thing is, because it kept moving the camera, what up was kept changing. And that was the issue. And all I needed to do is move around for a second to determine what up is to then accommodate it. However, because the beams were coming so quickly, I didn't have a chance to actually accommodate, which just led to me getting hit. That's pretty much the definition of jank. Yeah, the lighthouse looked awesome. I even gave it pluses. For visuals. Oh, whoops. The most dreaded of all pluses. Yeah, Takahashi and Sagara have been extraordinarily tight-lipped for years at this point. I've pretty much accepted that they've decided to go ahead and just kind of do a do-over with the blades. Because, let's be honest, that's what they did. Is that the right call? I don't blame them. But whatever happened had to have been pretty bad. They have been turbo tight-lipped about it for years. And every interview that's been taken about it has been antagonistic at best. And downright hostile at worst. Yeah, I actually like the Borg-looking stuff on the side. But that nonsense on the top is insane. And frankly, kind of eye-piercing. Is this the right spot? Yep, that's it. You know, can I say something unkind about this dungeon? Is that allowed? Mega Man X5 did it better. For those of you who've played Mega Man X5, you know what I'm referencing. For those of you who haven't, I guess I'll explain it to you. Mega Man X5 has a whole sequence where you actually enter cyberspace, which is a whole thing in the Mega Man setting. And it's not great, but it's better than this. I mean, I think Mega Man X5 is a good Mega Man game. It's probably the most yellow Mega Man game. Put it that way. Oh, I disagree with that. I think 6 is much worse than 5. Of course, I actively despise 6. What the hell do I know? Waste of time. How will this game score for replayability? That's a good question. How do we score this game for replayability, everyone? Oh, the level design and the boss design in X6. Jesus Christ! You just hit me for 10,000 before I could move. This freaking game. Oh, we've definitely given... I've already given 3 Babylon 5 effect positives, which I think is the most I've ever given a game. I thought about that for a while, but no. Especially this playthrough, knowing the entire plot ahead of time. Yeah. That's a full triple easy. This might be the most Babylon 5 effect game I've played. Ever, possibly. At the very least to date. But replayability? Yeah. I know people who like this game who will never replay this game. So... yeah, it's definitely not going to get the 3rd replay. I don't think it does anything to earn the 2nd. Which just leaves the 1st, and... hang on. No. Here we go. Gear option. Wow, that was all of her fuel. All of it. Here's a question. We got all these inventory items, right? They heal, they raise stats, they restore EP, you know. Why do none of these affect the gears? I've actually been thinking about that this whole time. And there's a negative I've been chewing on, and I think I just confirmed it for myself. No, sorry. Replayability is already bonus points in terms of existing. Negative for a total lack of itemization for gears. Why do this? Like, actually think about this for just a second. Your methods of healing your gear are being at a designated heal spot, which are manually placed here and there. Using your heals, which burns fuel. That might be it. Oh, God. Yeah, at least let me spend some gold on getting a fuel tank, right? At the bare minimum. But no, they don't exist. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I feel like the gear combat is just kind of tacked on. And I find myself wondering if they built the, let's call it what it is, the default JRPG system. You know, items, equipment, weapons, abilities, spells, you know, the ground combat. And then they're like, oh shoot, gears. Just, that's what it feels like. Anyways, where am I going? Also, I don't mean to sound complainy, but you notice there's no saves in here. So anything goes wrong, and... no, it's your fault. You really didn't. This is such a weird last dungeon. I've talked many times about how you can always tell when a game is running out. You got time, we're gonna get a budget. Well, here we are. Honestly, yeah. Like, if this is gonna sound strange, if you're not gonna have gameplay, don't have gameplay. I talked about this earlier when I mentioned how I don't mind the narration slideshows followed by combat, right? Just do that. It's actually fine. Oh, this would be so much worse if this had combat. Remember, we gain nothing from combat. And we have 6 bosses coming up. Now, granted, one of those is the victory lap boss, but still, 5 real bosses. The 5th of which is apparently a hell of a pain in the ass to fight. I would know, obviously. Right, we need to talk about music. I know what I would review this game's music as if I was just doing it without, like, you guys existing. Input? To my knowledge, no, Jay Palmer. Except for the victory lap boss. The victory lap boss, as you might imagine, is a victory lap. Wow, I'm so glad that you got to go before I had a chance to even move. Yep, there's another 10,000 health just gone. Jesus Christ. Before I could even move. As usual, my second favorite song hasn't played yet. Can I go, please? Before you health tax me? That's what this is, by the way. This is a health and fuel tax. That's what this is. You know, it's something else just occurred to me. Just to make this even more impossibly horrible. Because these things... Okay, because of the fact that levels don't matter for Gears in any real way, what that means is that there's no purpose in combat being in the final dungeon. Let me explain what I mean by that for a bit. There's several bits of design philosophy you can have for having combat in your final dungeon. It can be a way to catch up on certain abilities. It can be a way to a turbo level. It can be a way to, like, really max up your magicite or your materia or whatever. There are things you can do in the final dungeon, and the enemy encounters there, which you can specifically design to make them worthwhile. FF6 and 7 are admittedly both examples of this, even though 7 has its own issues. And there's other examples of this, too. And yeah, New Game Plus obviously makes a benefit for all of this. I'm trying to remember the last game. I know I've played games, so I'm trying to remember the last game I've played where there's actually no benefit to this. Oh, nope. KOTOR 1. In KOTOR 1, there was no benefit at all to the final dungeon encounters. They were just there as a resource drain. And in fact, in KOTOR 1, they also drop experience even though you're probably max level, and they drop money even though there's nothing you can buy anymore. I remember this especially because they specifically added Sandal in Dragon Age Origins in the final dungeon, like right before the final boss, to accommodate this exact issue, to make there to be some benefit for the enemies in the finale, so you can go refill, refuel, etc. But in KOTOR 1, nah. Just there to waste your time. Okay, so hang on. Give me a second. First, thank you, Blue Dragon EXE. Second of all, let me see, where's Capcom? There it is, Star Force Legacy Collection. It's a 25-second bit. If you ever need to know what exactly Mega Man thinks about what Capcom thinks about Mega Man, the fact that there's a 25-second bit trailer, which is just, hey, it's a collection, versus the nonsense they did over in the Direct. There you go. Okay, it's coming out next year. There's 7 games? Okay, hold up. That can't be right, right? I don't know. I've actually never played Mega Man Star Force. At all. So this says there's 3. So according to the picture, because screw me, it's Pegasus, Leo, Dragon. And then Zerker X Ninja, Zerker X Saurian, Black Ace, and Red Joker. Okay. I get you. I've processed. So there's 3. That's a little bit more manageable. That's still 75 hours of game. I'm not playing all 7. We'll play 3. Not that crazy. I'm not even playing all the versions of Pokemon. What? Well, please stop doing that, YouTube. Thank you. Okay. Where the hell am I? Oh, this should be it. Don't worry, there will definitely be a heal up here. Right? 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 Please don't make me cheat on the last bosses. Please don't make me trip at the finish line. Yeah, I didn't like Battle Network, so I saw Star Force and I was like, nope. Okay, so I believe this is the point of no return right here. The actual, no, really, point of no return. And I am correct. So, I'm going to close off the guessing game. If you want to get a guess in, this is your big shot to do it. Just gonna warn you right now, I'm adding another negative for this dungeon because this is not a final dungeon. Everyone done? I see one person making a guess right now. So I'll give you a minute. Give you one more minute. I know. Hey, Mario Wonder is adding the Koopalings. Okay, bye. What? Oh, you want to hear more about Mario Wonder? Let's talk about the Mario Party features we're adding in. No. The Koopalings. The what now? The Koopalings. The new stages. Yes, there's going to be some mini games you can play with your friends. No. You said there's new stages. New stages you can play mini games. No. Let's talk about the Mario movie 2. It's exactly as bad as the last one. We don't know anything. They just talked about the frickin' Mario Party mode, which is local co-op. Like, local co-ops always existed, I wonder. You know, well, I'm giving you a second to guess. Someone was pushing back against people being... How do I phrase this? There was some counter push, right? Because people, like me, were talking about how these companies can do better and don't. And it was like, oh, you're so entitled. Because you insist on demanding they give you more. You should be thankful for what you get. To which I say, no. These companies, all of them, have all made their bed. They have all created the environment that the gaming industry exists in as a whole. They are the reason why these kind of terrible, barely acceptable products get shoved out the door. And I want to stress this word, barely. They have so much time and effort and resources, and they could spend it on things if they wanted to. They don't, because they choose not to. Remember, you could pick 3 things, DZ Maven, not just one. And you know what? I could name a dozen games off the top of my head as an example of how a dedicated team can spend time putting out something without having to bilk people, without having to circle the capitalism drain. But all I'm going to say is Silksong, because it's made my point for me. Silksong has made so many of these larger companies look like clowns. Yeah, I was going to say, it's easy. It is easy to mention multiple examples of games that have come out this year that have proven that these large-scale companies are full of bullcrap. What the hell is Bloodstained Scarlet Engagement? Hang on, I'm looking it up. Hang on. Is this Bloodstained 2? Functionally? I feel like I even saw this recently and it just did not retain. So if you want to add something, you can only add one thing, DZ Maven. So if you want to add Bloodstained 2, I'm fine with that. Yeah, won't someone please think of the billion-dollar corporations? No, fuck up. They don't deserve a single scrap or penny. If they get one bunch of $10 bananas, they should be grateful. So, Bloodstained Scarlet Engagement. Done. Thank you, DZ Maven, for being part of the show. Unlike some people, I frickin' appreciate you. Yeah, you know the only reason... Someone actually accused me of being a Nintendo shill recently, which I find hysterical, by the way. But, you know one of the only reasons I actually still buy Nintendo games? It's because they're good games. Mario Wonder is one of the best platformers ever made. It is incredibly inventive, creative, fun, engaging, small quality of life features absolutely gushing from every single pore and crevice. It is one of the most well-polished platformers I've ever seen, and it is still innovative and creative. The final boss is a heavy metal boss battle against a castle. What do you want from me? That's it. That's the only reason. If they ever pull back, if they ever stop pushing out that level of quality, it sucks to be them. Because Nintendo Corporate has been a dick for decades. There's no that. Okay. So Jaded Font, you get to put that towards 3 things. If you absolutely refuse to pick anything else, I'll give it to the crowd. I know, like, Mario Galaxy 1 is a really good game. What was its score? What was its score? They could also afford to, with their Holiday money. Which, good on them. Mario Galaxy 1 scored a 209.04. That is a goddamn good game. Now, that was specifically the Switch version, to be very clear. The point is, that's the version they're re-releasing. That is an extremely good game. It still sucks that they're trying to double dip on selling it again on the same system. And don't give me that Switch 2 bullcrap. Okay, so we'll put Silk Song as the second one, and first person to say something. To put Jaded Fonts, not donation. FF11. Okay, there we go. Is Lord getting a Switch 2? No, I would never get a Switch 2. Let me just play my Switch 2 here a little bit more. There we go. I told the story of me getting that. It was just such a complete chance luck thing. Alright, chopping down the guessing game. In about 6 hours, we might have actually beaten the game. Now that we're at the final boss. Mr. Red guessed net positive. Mr. Red, you... Hope springs eternal. Mr. Red. Han Mibuki. Let me explain to you how math works. In fairness, the outro might be universally positive. I actually don't know, Crazy Norse. I mean, it is entirely possible. I think, what is our total numbers right now? So it's like negative 52. And then positive 33. So 22, I think? No, 21. So we need to get 21 positives to story to equal this up to 0. Let's do this. Who knows? It might be a really frickin' banger ending. I don't know. Oh, no, I didn't, J. Palmer. Hang on. J. Palmer says, Dear Lord, you suck and I hate you. Please stop playing this game immediately. Most out-of-touch video game company currently. Out of touch? Konami. That's an easy one. They haven't been a video game company in 30 years? Something like that? Alright, final boss time. Yeah, I have a feeling the density's gonna... Oh, god damn it! Take it in the pants on this game. Okay, I figured out my controls. Yep, look away from the screen. You know, the thing I don't have the, luxury of doing. Symbolism. Sorry. In case you missed the narrative significance of people being social creatures, thematic relevance, we're walking. What's really funny is it's her left wing and his right wing. So if they're hugging each other, both wings are on the same side. So they're not going to be able to fly. I thought about that years ago, and it just kind of struck me again, seeing it there. Anyways. So yeah, final save point. I'm gonna go ahead and do a real save here. So the speed run just ignores the 4 bosses. We're not gonna do that. Because I don't feel like testing my luck on that. Where's my freaking walkthrough? Oh god, I lost my walkthrough. I lost my walkthrough! Ah! There it is. Oh, cool. Hang on, hang on, hang on. I may have to walk back one of those negatives. Probably get out through here. So we actually haven't hit the point of return yet. That's funny. Alright, I'll walk back one of the negatives because there's a refill point here. That's certainly debatable, Zeal Knight. Like, in gameplay, yeah, although you get her so late that it doesn't matter anymore. I do like the fact that you get to choose. Yeah, I've noticed several people haven't updated that in a while. I figured yours was up to date, though, since it's towards patch night, Deus Ex Mankind Divided Alpha 10. None of those are invalid runs. Unlike some people I could mention. What? Okay. At least 50% Walker. Most of the boss fights. Okay, here we go. This is the point of no return right here. For realsies this time. You have jumped down the crater. Okay, that's a thing. What are those 4 orbs spinning around it? It seems as if the power of those 4 things is supporting the center. That means the big thing in the middle is the core of Deus? Probably. Who cares about those orbs? Let's just crush the core. Striking directly at the center rather than using fuel unnecessarily. That is one strategy, but I believe another plan of attack will be to defeat the surroundings first. If we decide to attack the supporting orbs, it might be wise to leave the battles up to us. We should be able to do something about them without using up phase power. I'll allow him to use the full power of Xenogears. To defeat Deus, and yes, of course, to save Ellie. Whether or not a direct strike to the core, or take down the support first. I guess that's best left to Faye to decide. Thanks, everyone. To attack Deus directly, or to take out support first. I wonder which is best. Thank you for saying that 3 times in a row! So let's fight the burst boss. It's kind of random which one you get. I mean, it's not random, but like, there's nothing to indicate it. So this is Marloot. So we're just gonna, beat it up. Yeah, by the way, my damage is a little higher after the grinding last night. A little. I love how it's the normal boss song for this, by the way. The shame of it is this is like the easiest of the four. Kind of wish I'd gotten this guy fourth so I could recover before the last fight, but whatever. Yeah, this is a really... Like, I don't want to sound negative, but this is so indicative of them running out of time and energy and just everything. Yeah, I'm fighting a texture in a space arena. And yeah, we're attacking something that is on the ground, so... Okay, could you, like... Not, please? So now the final boss will not use fuel drain. One experience! You're just rubbing it in now. One down. Next. And this one's gonna be... That's Harloot. It's actually one of the hard ones. Probably to quote it. Has to be a value, blah blah blah. I don't... So, remember how I mentioned how there's no, like, fuel items or healing items? Put simply, there's not really an in-between fight healing, no. Not really. So yeah, we're just kind of stuck with this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are all names of angels. Or something. Yeah, these two bosses have really drained my health. Feels doing alright. So now that's an AoE. The boss will not do. I'm gonna see how much fuel it costs to heal out of combat. Because I can heal out of combat, it just takes fuel. Unfortunately, like I said, I really wish I'd fought the yellow guy last, because he's actually a pretty good time to recover on. There's another one, which is Metatron. He's also a really good time to recover. So that costs, most of my fuel. I'm still gonna do it. Two of them, at least. Need to get at least a little bit of healing in there. Good news is we have two things. Actually, I upgraded every single gear just in case. Just to be sure. So yeah, let's see, this is Metatron, so let's do some damage. Yes. Okay. I'm sure glad I bothered to heal. And I am bingo on fuel. Actually out of fuel. Now, the good news is I get back 500 fuel whenever I refuel. Bad news is my characters are dead. Is this death? Yeah, that's just death. Okay. Anyways. Oh, there it is. I honestly did not see that. So let's just bring in some worthlessies here. Oh wow, we've done 0 damage so far. This is looking promising. Thank you, Maria, for continuing to just kind of school everything here. Honestly, I imagine they never thought about it, Walker, to be quite frank. I will never have to hear this song again when I beat this game. Isn't that going to be great? Are you done, Metatron? Holy God, what are you doing? Jesus! Then I would murder them, Czar, with my bare hands. I would rip their jaw out and shove it into their eyes. You know, I don't actually know Blade 12. That's a valid question. Here's the question. Do I try to refuel? Earth shield gained! Do I try to refuel at all? No. Use the thing. There we go. Sure. Hey, Rika. You want to pretend you matter? Still really irritated I got the easiest one first. The refill fight I got first. How many gears have heal? All of them, actually. But it takes up over half of their fuel to do one heal, and it's a 30% heal. So... Thanks, Rico. Thanks for doing 0 damage. Appreciate you. Never stop believing, I guess. See, the problem is, you can't tell which boss is which, Meta Shinryu. It's 4 identical orbs. There's no indicator of which is which. Whoops, that was a misclick. Oh, whatever. Okay, so now Deus won't heal. Yeah, I suppose I could have save stated it, but... Yeah, now we swap Billy. With Choo Choo. Or, well, who's left at this point? This should be Harloot now. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, these are all optional fights. Let's pop a save. We're going to go ahead and be risky and not try to refuel. Choo, what are you doing? What you doing, Choo? I love that. Move 1 at a Tim. I get it. Limited space. Sleeping in the office. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, this is why I haven't been using Choo Choo, by the way. There's a specific strategy for making Choo Choo useful. And we didn't do that. So she's sort of worthless. Yeah, just a little worthless. So Choo's gear stats are directly pulled from her regular stats, because that's just her, right? So what you can do is you can crank her stats and level her up to, you know, level 1 billion, at which point, yeah, she's actually pretty nice in the gear thing. And give all the drives to her, or farm drives to give to her. Really crank her up with attack ups, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, she can wreck the game if you set her up right, but it does take a lot of setup, and frankly, I got other things to do. Of course, Crazy Norse. That's why we must destroy them. Make sure they don't rise again. Okay. Final boss time, right? Well, I mean, final real boss. There's a victory lap after this. Set up a beginning of fight save. Bring our real party. That really should matter at this point. Yeah, we can just fly in her. Of course we can. This is my other favorite song in the game. Of course, Deus looks like a giant thing with metal wings and eyeballs on its shoulders and wings. Why wouldn't it? Please don't do that much damage. I am not that high on health. Ooh, okay, it's only half my health. I'm gonna do a beginning of battle save here, and we're just gonna run and see what happens. Like, we're just gonna race for his DP, his health. That's what we're gonna do. Its health, I suppose. Of course, one of its primary attacks is attack with drones. That actually makes perfect sense. Way too many drones. That take way too long. Can we go? So I haven't been keeping perfect track, but it's less than half health now. Yes, really. I was just looking at the background and wondering what it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be the organopulp of all the people it's absorbed. It's kind of gross. Yeah, it's just gross. Yeah, this fight is apparently really hard. Not only does it have almost double the health if you don't take out the orbs, it also has all 4 abilities that all 4 of those bosses were using. Okay. I'm willing to say that's good enough for a wash, for a final boss. The choice mechanic brings it up a bit. I was expecting to be more negative about that, but that's fine. Each of the individual bosses had their own gimmick. It was only one gimmick like every other. I had a thought. I was talking about this with Pax just last night. And this is an insult, to be very clear. You know what the bosses in this game remind me of? Molten Core bosses. I might have said this yesterday, because my brain. But almost every boss in this game, whether on ground or on gear, that actually has a gimmick has one gimmick. That's their mechanic. For those of you who are who fought Dementius, for example, imagine if the only mechanic Dementius had was the meteor strike, where you have to group up to fight, and that's the entire boss. That's what a lot of these fights feel like in the whole game, not just here. With some extra time, maybe they could have done something more interesting. My gear won't budge anymore. The Zohar modifier ceased functioning. It's probably the reason why our gears cannot move anymore. Hover, hover, hover. There's only a slight energy response coming from the core now. What about Ellie? What's happening to her inside of that thing? The Deus system's bind on her should have worn off by now. So aren't we getting any kind of response? I don't think we hurt her in that battle, too. Hey, calm down. The sensors are picking up a response from a life form within Deus. It's probably Ellie. So do not worry. Also, how do we have sensors if our mechs aren't powered? Ellie! Can you hear me, Ellie? Deus is no longer active! It's over now! Come out of there! Show me your face! Ellie! Ellie! What the? What's happening? Doc, what's going on? What's wrong? I'm now detecting a tremendous amount of energy coming from within Deus. It seems as if something that was sealed up until now has suddenly been freed and is growing enormously. It couldn't be. The wave existence. Wave existence? That's gotta be it. The wave existence was just freed from its cage of fleshly existence in Zohar. It's probably attempting to return to the higher dimension that it originally came from. Which means this is the after effect of the dimensional shift? What do you mean, after effect? It's like a shockwave that's induced by the dimensional displacement. So much energy. If this puts energy at least here now, so much energy at least, then what will happen? Doc, tell us! This planet will be annihilated. That's a lot of energy. These numbers indicate it has more than enough energy to take out a whole planet. Yeah, that's a lot of energy. What you mean? You can't be serious. We all fought so hard only to see this happen? Isn't there anything we can do? Can we stop the after effect? Unfortunately, there is nothing we can do. Almost all machinery, including our gears, are out of commission due to Zohar having been shut down. This time, there's nothing we can do. To put it to you straight, this is the end for us. This is freaking stupid. How the hell can it all end like this? What were we all fighting for up until now? What were we fighting for? Vibrations are intensifying. Hold on a sec. No, these vibrations are different. There has to be something else causing it. Look. Deus is rising? What is it this time? Deus is releasing its remaining energy and is beginning to accelerate. If it continues to accelerate at this rate, it'll soon leave the atmosphere. I don't think... Think what? That it's Ellie. Ellie is moving Deus. Okay, I really don't want to quibble, but if it's a bomb that can destroy a planet, getting into atmosphere is not far enough away. I'm sure of it. Ellie's trying to save us by moving Deus away from our planet. She's going to sacrifice herself. That can't be. Oh, Ellie. Can't we do anything? We can't just sit here and watch this happen, can we? Wait. There is still something I can do. What is it, Faye? My gear still works. Without Zohar, the power source for your gears, the only gear that now remains active is mine. I missed it. Why is Xenogears not powered by Zohar? Just like Deus, my gear and I made contact with Zohar. We're the only ones who can move now. So you are powered by Zohar. But you've lost me. I'm going to save Ellie. That is absurd. Even if you were able to catch up with Deus, you'll not have enough energy to make it back. Even so, I must go. Ellie's taken the whole burden upon herself. If anything happens to her, I want to be there with her. Hey, wait a minute. You know I'm not going to stand by and let you commit double suicide if that's what you're planning. Bart, you'd better come back alive, you hear me? Promise me. Promise me you'll come back, then I'll let you go. Thanks, Bart. I promise. I promise you I will return. With Ellie! I mean, this is only a game that's killed 98% of the population of the planet. Surely we'll have a happy ending, right? But, let's let him go, Saitan. At this point, Faye's the only one that'll be able to bring Ellie back. Also, you've taken so long yammering about it, Deus is gone. You're too late. Ellie's dead. Sorry, bye! You are right. Faye, keep your promise. No matter what. Faye and Ellie, both of you, come back home. We'll be waiting for you. I appreciate this, Bart. And the rest of you, who I guess exist as well. Okay, pause. You remember how Bart's the only character with character? Like, everyone else just kind of has a few bits and then that's it. I like how that just emphasized that right there. I agree. Thank you, Bart. And everyone else. I guess this will be the last journey you and I make together. I'm counting on you, partner. Yes, thank you, main character. And also everyone else, I guess. Ellie! Eyeball wings. Another of my favorite songs in this game. It's Ellie. That must mean I'm inside of Deus. Not exactly. Your actual body is but a physical object. It has merely been absorbed in Deus' outer shell. Only your consciousness is here. Of course, the girl you perceive in front of you is also not a true being. Your consciousness is merely creating her image. The wave existence? No, that's not you. Who are you? I... Krellian. That's right, isn't it? Krellian, it was you who did this to Ellie. The path of Sephiroth has been connected. No one can stop God from returning to his world now. So what have you come here for, Lacan? I came to take the person I love back with me. So set Ellie free. The Deus' system has been destroyed. It's all over now. Instead, I ask you, what are you hoping to achieve now? Ah, the time when all things started. The place where all things were one. I am going to return there. What place? Before the beginning of the universe, in the undulating waves of the higher dimension, all things were one. It was the waves spilling out from there that created this four-dimensional universe of ours. Humankind, the souls of humankind that were born from there, are merely leftovers of those spilled waves. So, you're going back there? Is that what you desired? Lacan, why such reluctance to become one with God? What attachment could you possibly have to this wretched old world? What meaning can be found in living out such a short existence? Hurting others? Hurting yourself? Grinding one another down, only to inevitably die and return to dust? Why, everything we could ever desire is here! No need to be troubled by the need for love, for this place is filled with the love of God. Not lost hope in humans as much as you have, Krellian. Someday humankind will come to understand one another. I sincerely believe that. How can you be so sure? Humans will never come to understand each other. You said she is the person you love, but can you say that you even truly understand each other? All humans do is place themselves at a comfortable distance from each other and call that mutual understanding, or spiritual unity, or true love, but it's all lies. Men cannot associate with others without first deceiving themselves. That is the way they were created. But one being's ego can't determine everyone's fate. People have the right to choose their own destiny. That's why humans have free will. And what if that will itself was predetermined? What then? Oh, what folly. Humans are just primitive life forms that have no such things as free will. Mankind has merely been allowed to live in an imperfect state, as is, as will be. It's for this very reason, because humans have this wretched will, or whatnot, that humans must experience sadness and loss. For someone to gain something means another must lose it. It's impossible to make mankind share limited things and affections. So I came to the conclusion that everything must be reverted back to where it all began. To go back to when all was one, waves, and nothing else. It's not my human's ego, it's not the will of the waves, the will of God. Well, it's alright too. We don't have to be perfect. Actually, being imperfect means mankind lived by helping each other. That's what being human is. It's mutual understanding. That's unity. That's love. I'm glad. No, I'm proud to be human. Ellie placed the future, tomorrow, in our hands. Based on our choice. She's working to keep Deus far from our planet. She's also trying to heal your heart. You, who wanted to journey all alone to be with God. Actually, Krellian wanted to absorb all of humanity into himself and then go up to that, but whatever. Can't you understand Ellie's feelings? Do you have to become one with God before you're able to comprehend all of this? I understand. I know her feelings, as if they were my own. Yes, she and I are one. We don't need God's help. Well, then prove it to me. Show me this power of humans. Show me this love that you can say make you independent of God. So yeah, we have one last boss fight. Hi, Myong. Zero! Yeah, I got the fuel. Oh god, you lost to this fight, you'd go back a ways. The last save was before the quad fight. Yes, if this looks familiar, yes, we're having a in the center of the mind sort of final boss against the actual true source of the villainy. The whole game, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's the Sephiroth thing again. Yeah, no more screwing around. Time. Ellie? Faye. It was Krellian. Krellian released me. Krellian? Yes, I came to understand after becoming one with Krellian. His heart was so full of sadness. That's why he desired for he and I to become one with God. Because that would be the return to the beginning of everything. He told me, you should be with him. That's what he said. You see, he already knew. Yes, he already knew how I felt and how you felt. There was nothing we or he could do. He had no choice but to go forward. Even if it meant he lost all feeling, lost everything that was human. For all humankind's sake, there was no going back. Even looking back held too many memories. And he would have just wanted to go back, even though he couldn't. So please forgive him. No. By the way, as a fresh reminder, Krellian is, at the very least, in the running for the most evil bastard in this entire game. And the only one who comes close to that is Deus, aka Nyong. I knew it all along. I just knew he was really that kind of person. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. I was wrong. I thought sacrificing myself in order to save others was the right thing to do, but my actions only brought sadness to all the people who I left behind. I should have let them die. And that sadness gave birth to even more sadness. As long as I still live within you, my life is not mine alone. Ollie, that isn't wrong. To sacrifice yourself for others is a noble thing. Even if it is to benefit yourself, it's no problem. There'll always be a person healed, one or the other. Love gains its original shine only when there's an interrelationship, oh my god, between the giver and the receiver. It is incomplete when one or the other is missing. The two are one. It was you, Ellie, who taught me that. I believe that is what it means to be human. I can now understand the true importance of it. I don't know if it's the right answer or not. We have a lot of time to think about it. What Krellian himself was looking for all along. We'll find the answer to it all ourselves. Thank you, Faye. Ellie... So, I actually referenced this a while ago. I imagine this was put together before they even, like, got close to the crunch line.
Let's return to our planet.
I mean, you don't have to go back to that stinkhole of a planet where, like, there might not even be a viable population. And you have no advanced technology to help catch up now, because it was all dependent on the Zohar.
It's the point of contact with our world, but the dimensional shift has already begun. Will we make it in time?
Can you run?
If we're together, I can.
Nudity in these kind of works is usually a sign of purity in Japanese culture. Innocence, purity.
Krelian, you.
There's no time. This place is about to be destroyed. Now there is no more God. This is no longer their planet. This is your home planet that you are now standing on.
Krelian, you aren't going, are you?
No.
That is Cam Clark.
Since that time, I have stopped being human. I've committed so many sins that any attempt at living like a human is impossible. The only one who could have forgiven me was God.
That's not true. I know they would understand. There's still plenty of time to atone for your sins. You, of all people, could do it.
Always the peacemaker, eh, Lacan? Perhaps that's what it means to be human. But regardless, I cannot go. It's something I've already decided. I go to walk with God, even if there's no place left for me upon my return. I must go now.
Krelian.
Actually, I envy you two.
Symbolism, he has two wings because he doesn't have anyone to be with him, so he's alone for the rest of his life. The end.
What happened?
Waves from the explosion disrupted the ionosphere, making it impossible to get a visual. They were probably caught up in the explosion.
That's a lie! come back. He promised us he would. I know it.
Choo choo, you can speak English. Oh, thank God they found some clothes.
Run through the cold of the night as passion burns in your heart. Ready to fight, a knife held close by your side. Like a proud wolf alone in the dark, with eyes that watch the world.
Oh, this will get copyright flag. In fact, I should just mute it. I shouldn't even leave it to chance. 100% that's going to get copyrighted. No, Magister. And no, J. Palmer. Yeah, you wanna play this game? Watch my stream of it. Or like a no commentary let's play. Which every now and again I get someone complaining that I am not a no commentary let's player, which I find amusing on various levels. I have not only played Breath of Fire 3, I've played Breath of Fire 3 multiple times, and I have a live review of it up. Why do you ask? Alright. I didn't like the ending. I'm just going to be real blunt about that. It commits several sins. First of all, the fake-out death, which is unnecessary. Second of all, bizarrely happy ending, despite the fact that the whole game makes it very clear that they're probably actually doomed. Third of all, it's a nothing burger. They get back to Earth, the end. It just stops. That's separate from the Krellian thing. The Krellian thing's terrible. I'm sorry. You notice that Krellian not only A, gets whitewashed, but B, gets everything he ever wanted. The villain wins. And I don't mean like in an asterisk-y kind of a way. I mean, he gets exactly what he wanted. Like, that's awful. Yeah, he literally got to go to heaven. Congrats. Yeah, we did manage to kill the bioweapon. Oh, 100% Crazy Horse. You have to when you're doing these kind of things. If you're doing CGI or if you're doing... it's on the archive page and all. If you're doing CGI or if you're doing AMVs or whatever these are called, the animated stuff, you have to plan that out way in advance because they have a separate production cycle from you. And they need to start work on that generally before you've even really started work on the game. That's just how works. Wow, Midnight, Quake, and Pokemon ZA. Thank you, Sputnik Lock, as always. The thing is, I'd love to hear anybody else's thoughts on this, but the biggest defense I've ever heard about this ending is it's part 5 of 6. And I do get that. But the problem here is that part 6 not only doesn't exist, but never will. And also, while we're on the subject, that's not how we do things, right? Part 1 doesn't get credit for the fact that part 2 exists. Even if there was a part 6. We've talked this out. You don't future review, right? We past review. So if there was a Xenogears part 6, that would get credit or points for what it did with this ending. This ending, in a vacuum, because the future doesn't exist yet, sucks. Excuse me, I shouldn't say that so definitively. In my opinion, it sucks. The song's still going, by the way, if you're wondering. See, the whole world recovers. We're cool. Cool. Don't worry about it. What's funny is I'm not overly fond of FF7's ending either, something I've butted heads with several people on over the years. And this is kind of in a similar boat for a similar reason. I know, nobody agrees with me on that one. I've just accepted that. How would I fix the ending? Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Okay. Okay. How many changes do I get? I'm going to limit myself on changes. Yeah, first of all, let's just get the obvious change out of the way. Krellian doesn't go to freaking heaven. Like, let's just start with that. I don't even really care what happens to him, to be honest with you. Let's just not have him go to freaking heaven. Let's not have him get away with everything scot-free. You don't even have to say his fate. You could just stop. You could just stop. He doesn't actually have any story relevance outside of the ending for hours, right? Like the last time we saw him was during the Eliascope fight, or whatever the hell that stupid fight is called. So, okay, there we go. Gap. Cool. Done. Don't need to acknowledge it. You can make up your own mind. Don't care. So just erase Krellian from the ending. Done. Okay, that's change number 1. Change number 2. I would go ahead. So they come down to the planet, and they're like, oh, we're here, and like, we're cool. And I would add, you know how we had that last shot of the Katamani? What I would change is make it so that instead of the last shot of the Katamani, I'd have to think about the specific execution, but the idea is to showcase that they set off some kind of beacon and have one of the last shots being a ship coming to the planet from outside. And that could imply a lot. There's all kinds of things that could imply. And of course, the idea, the immediate idea, let's ignore sequels, because remember, sequels don't exist yet. The immediate idea is hope's coming. Help is on its way. Some possibility of people being able to recover. At the very least, evacuation, right? I know we kind of joke about the evacuation ship, but more or less literally, right? And maybe, you know, and you could take that and run with it. Maybe, you know, fans will think, oh, maybe they show up and they help out, or maybe they just get the people off the planet or whatever, but some kind of hope there for an otherwise fairly doomed world. That's what I would change. And of course, obviously, planning for a sequel, which was already greenlit by this point, it would then be a hook for episode 6. So I think it fulfills both requirements. Either way. I suppose now I have to review this. All right, everyone who likes this game, stop watching immediately. Stop watching. Stop watching. Go away. Go away. Here, look at this adorable cat. Here. I offer you here. Come here. I'm sorry about what I'm about to do. Okay. I know you don't like to be picked up. Here, come here. Okay. Okay. Cat mode. Cat mode. Look at this cat. Look at this cat. Isn't this cat so cute? Okay. Let you know. I'm sorry. Thank you for being patient. You're a good cat. I know. Thank you. Okay. Torment today. Ain't that the truth? I don't know if you can see. I have plenty of cuts on my hand. All right. Okay. Music. Here. This actually shouldn't take long. Is this the official one? Nope. Where's the official one? It doesn't matter, I suppose. Sure, we'll just start with this. Okay, now, I've started the timer. Time to speedrun this. Dives in storage. Hi, cat. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. Thank you for being a cat. It is cute. I'm sure they appreciate it. Yes, that's my arm that you're clawing. Hello. Enjoy the claw. 2, 3. Correct. Xenosaga... Turn this down a little bit. Xenosaga 1 is in many ways Xenogears Episode 1. But only Episode 1. That's kind of important. And then, for all intents and purposes, the Xenoblades, all of them, are kind of a do-over of Xenogears, is what I would call that. I don't think they would want to hear any of my thoughts on this game. Because I'd want to talk about the gameplay, and they'd be like, what's gameplay? And I'd be like, well, it's this thing that exists in video games. I'm kidding. Or rather, I'm being exaggerative. Well, see, the funny thing is, I haven't played Xenoblade 3 yet. I know a couple of spoilery things about it, but I haven't actually played it. Thoughts of the story. Shira did it better. Here's my one-sentence review of the story. Yeah, I know the big spoiler about Xenoblade 3. It's the spoiler I just mentioned. Hang on. I gotta go through. Let's go through the gameplay first. Let's rip off the band-aid first here. Let's see. No real backtracking issues to speak of. Backtracking issues. Bugs, builds, camera, cheats, choices, co-op, controls. For combat, we already talked about that. No crafting to speak of. No crashes. Difficulty curve is fine. No difficulty options. No durability. Encounter rate is whatever. Enemy design is enemy AI is non-existent. Enemy variety is actually pretty decent. Excuse me. I mean, I should clarify my statement. No, I'll do it after the audit. Don't let me forget to clarify my statement about Xenoblade. Because I'm just going to say it, Xenoblade is what Xenogears was going to be. But I'll clarify that, because there's more to it than just a sentence. That's true. When I cheated, it crashed. Negative to gameplay. For not letting me cheat. God, could you imagine? I'd give Assassin's Creed Odyssey like 10 negatives for that. No fast travel to speak of. Leveling was actually fine with one huge exception. I just thought about that. I'll come back to that. Put a pin in that. Info in game is fine, actually. Well, no, that's not fair. I should give that a negative. Blade 1, let me get to it. Let me get to it. Because there's a story there. And some speculation, but mostly a story. Best song of the game. How's the mod support of this game? Strangely enough, I'm looking at my column and none of the JRPGs have mod support. It's strange. No, it's a joke, Tree Whisperer. They're also Japanese. And Japanese actually have a whole legal/cultural thing against modding. It's weird. It's someone more versed in this could probably talk about it better than me, but it has to do with something about, like, the thing that a creator has created is, like, sacrosanct, so you're not supposed to change it or edit it, right? It's something that pops up all over the place, if you really think about it. It's also one of the reasons why we'll have things like, for example, the Pixel remasters being remakes of the originals, not the remasters. Because that's their baby, not ours, so we can't work on that. You get it. You're not supposed to touch. This extends to food. You go to a restaurant, most restaurants will not do substitutions or alterations to your food. It's considered rude to ask. Some restaurants will accommodate that. Still considered rude. Like I said, it's a whole thing. If it's not obvious, I'm not particularly in favor of any of that. I am pro-modding and pro-customization, because I am pro-options. I am a weirdo. I'll admit it. Not now, Jay Palmer. In fact, I'm going to straight up ignore that for the moment. No, I'll say thank you. Thank you, Jay Palmer. I'll look at it later. Story. By the way, the gameplay's negative 54. Alright, I mean, the game we just played and its massive anti-epilepsy problem is a good example of that whole purity thing. I know that sounds strange, but yeah. It is. I'm actually not joking about that, Rax. I was re-examining that assessment during this run to make sure I wasn't just saying that because of cultural consciousness or accepted, terminology. And no, yeah, I stand behind that on my own 2 feet. I think this is the most Babylon 5 effect I've seen in a game. Another song. I ran out of songs. There's only 2 good songs. Don't look at me like that. Here, I'll give you another one. If I can find it. There it is. How long was this? Almost double, it looks like, the length of Cross. I'll do the calculations in a second. That's off the top of my head. Too long. So, Babylon 5 effect is a specific subset of foreshadowing. It's when the first time through you think A, but the second time through you think B. Knowledge of what's going on recontextualizes things, and that's important because it's harder to write than just basic foreshadowing. And yeah, that's Xenogears to a T. This was my first time playing through the game knowing everything, and yeah. That is the crowd's decision, not mine. What do y'all think? Was this a worthwhile run? Be honest. Well, that's good to know. Just don't let Resident Arc watch this. They'll hate it. Up to the eyes. Honestly, I do think there's some very problematic game design here, don't mistake me. But I think the worst parts of the game, the gameplay, honestly, no, both axes. The worst parts of both axes is the fact that this was a troubled, problematic, rushed development. Everything, like all of the really big problems can be explained by that. Proper QA testing, proper polishing pass, better localization, better smoothing out of the pacing. I'm not going to, glaze the game and say it would be somehow magically perfect if it had the proper development time and a producer knew what he was doing. But I think all of the worst aspects of the game could have been solved by smoothing over those edges. Damn it, I'm running out of music. Here, whatever. All the loops are too short in this game. Here, have some Mitsuda. I'll turn that down a little bit. Yeah, it's not like Sakaguchi can do no wrong, but he probably would have done a better job than this. As a producer, as a project manager. So one of the other things I'm doing, some of you don't know this, if you type !audit, you'll actually see the audit sheet I use for these audits. And you'll notice that it's categorized by genre, or at least a rough approximation of genre. The reason I do that is I find it's helpful to do direct comparisons with similar games. So one of the reasons it takes so long, especially for a game like this, is I'm glancing up. Xenogears is obviously at the bottom of the list, starting with an X, at the, like, 15 or so JRPGs we've covered. And just kind of being like, does this feel about right? Should this be higher? Should this be lower? It's all relative, right? That's kind of by design. For example, does that feel correct? Yeah, it feels about correct. We'll go ahead and stick with that. No kidding, Doozy Maven. That's a hell of a what if, isn't it? Yeah, there's also the genre sheet, which I'll be updating in just a second. I'm going to give the voice acting a pass for quantity and just move on from that. It's not good, but it only shows up for like a grand total of 3 scenes in the entire game. I'm not going to punch down on that. All right. Wow, it's actually more than I thought it would be. Oops. Hell, even in Japanese, the voice acting would probably be a pass if we're being honest with ourselves, right? I'm sorry, someone double check me. 99 plus 9 is 108, right? Thank you. I'm pretty good at math in my head, but like every now and again I just stall on something and I'm like, hold up. Let me double check that. Alright, let's punch in some numbers. For the record, Chrono Cross got negative 37. That's our immediate comparison. $58.1 hours. God dang, that is going to drag that density down pretty hard. Sorry, give me 1 second. Jesus Christ, has it really been 7 days? This is a 7-day stream. Holy God. Okay. Oops. $58.1 hours. Whatever. Density is a fairly large multiplier to the golden number, but it has a cap to prevent much shorter games from having an unfair advantage. It's actually kind of both. So, for those of you not aware, there's density, and then there's also sustained density, if that makes sense. And those are actually 2 completely separate calculations. Oh, that's wrong. There we go. So how's Dan's along? Yeah, exactly. Density by itself is not... We discovered this pretty early on, and that's why the sustained density factor kicked in. Density in and of itself just artificially benefits shorter games. I do stand by the overall idea of density. I do not like filler. I do not like empty text. But having that kind of thing it just made like all of the 2-hour games scoring better than everything else, and that's just not acceptable. And honestly, not really indicative. That's impressive. Yeah, it was just under 20 hours in. Okay. Where's the guessing game? I need to see the guessing sheet. How many more equip points would I hit? Oh, jeez, I don't know. I wasn't keeping track. Multiple. Almost cheat several times. Xenogears. Let's get the part nobody cares about out of the way first, as everyone is constantly telling me. Story score, plus 30. That is 0.52 positives per hour, which is not bad, all things considered. And 63.89% ratio, which is actually kind of bad. Below average is what I'd call that. Gameplay, negative 54. We've had worse. We have. To put that into perspective, that's not as bad as Breath of Fire 2, or Quest 64, or Secret of the Stars, or Paper Mario Sticker Star. However, that is a full negative per hour, which, yeah, that actually sounds about right. And that is a 17.8% ratio, which is not great, giving a final golden number of negative, try to be shocked, where does this put this? Oh, that's funny. Okay. 60. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Red. Negative 67.12. Now, that doesn't sound great. A little bit of perspective. That puts it just around Lufia 1 and Kingdom Hearts 1, to put that into a bit of idea. And yeah, that's actually something I've been thinking the entire time, is that I can't believe I'm saying this given how much I've been tearing out my hair all week, but that actually isn't as bad as I thought it would be, because frankly the game isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I do mean that. And yes, Lunarith wins. Woo! Lunarith is going to put that towards giving me more paperwork. Someone pick a WoW run. Just real quick. Someone. Midnight. Done. WoW. Midnight. And then Wing Commander. And then Urquan. I know, right? It is, yeah, like this is Kingdom Hearts syndrome before Kingdom Hearts syndrome, before Kingdom Hearts existed. And also, I don't want to sound unkind in any level, shape, or form, but one of the comments I got, if I can add kind of like some commentary at the end here. One of the type of comments I got multiple times before we even started the run was, just cheat, nobody cares about the gameplay. And I heard that a lot from multiple people. And that sort of stuck with me, because I have a feeling that's exactly where Xenogears sits in most people's minds. I, of course, don't know that. I don't have enough of a metric to that, but it's all I've been hearing from basically everyone. No Pokemon music. And I considered it, but again, I like to actually do my freaking job. Yeah, no, this is a storybook game. It's you're here for the story. The gameplay is exactly what it is. It is a game made overly ambitiously by people who didn't know what they were doing in terms of the concept, in terms of the genre, in terms of the specific. Produced by someone who did not know what he was doing, while not having the proper resources and management in order to actually back up any of that. In an era in which people were being very experimental with their gameplay. That's like 7 things going against the gameplay axis of the game. Of course the gameplay is negative 54. Frankly, it could have been even worse. Was this a decent first game? I mean, it's impressive that it's this good. Yeah, I'm legitimately not sure they had the tech to make this. I said I'd talk about Xenoblade. So, one of the things we know, for those of you who didn't hear me talk about at the very beginning of the very first pod, was that something happened with regards to Sagara and Takahashi. And whatever it is was very drama-y and probably involved lawyers. And whatever it is, both of them have refused to talk about it for years. But every time it comes up, they get really cold really fast. And I've been covering fiction, all of fiction, for long enough to know what that means. Something happened. We don't know what exactly, and we honestly probably never will at this point. There's stuff that happened on the set of TOS, which, as a reminder, was in the 60s, which we still don't know the full details of, and never will, because most of those people are dead now. So, something happened. Yes, Saber for Wife, 100%. Something happened, it caused issues, and the two of them walked away from whatever the hell was coming out. They did originally, so there was this weird era. Spirits Within happened. Xenogears 2 was canceled immediately. Some time happened. The PS2 happened. FF10 sold bonkers well, but at the same time, they were still having trouble because of Spirits Within. Remember, that's an anchor on their neck forever. So after quite a bit of work and some outside deals, they finally got Xenosaga 1 greenlit. Most of the Xenogears 1 team worked on Xenosaga 1, with the exception of the producer, because they swapped him out. Probably a good move, in all honesty. It was probably just because he was working on FF14. Anyways. So then Xenosaga 1 got out. Cool. And then something happened. And I don't know what. And that's the catch. Because that's when something happened. The team who worked on Saga 1 had already started working on Saga 2. Had already done some of the initial prep work, because that's how production cycles work. And then they were all kicked off the project. And that's about when Bandai Namco started getting involved, and then that was a mess, and then they had a third company get involved, and that was a mess. And it's one of the reasons why I keep saying Xenosaga 1 could be seen as an episode 1 to Xenogears, because it was made with the same general concepts by most of the same team with the same general precepts. We also know that the married duo, Takahashi and... Yeah, exactly. Takahashi and Sagara both had been wanting to write this story for years before they actually walked into Xenogears. It's something that had been percolating in their minds for a while, and they both talked about this in interviews. Obviously, they did sew together. We'll go sew it. They sewed together at least 3 stories that I know of into the overall Xenogears story. But the point is, this is something they wanted to do. That's important. Because if you've ever studied fiction, you know that creative types, when they really want to put out a story, if they can't for whatever reason, whether it be legal or production or financial or whatever, they tend to hold on to that story and do another version of it later. Enter Xenoblade. After everything that happened there, they walked away from Square and never looked back, and have stated openly that they will never touch Square again. So they walked away from that and decided to go ahead and do their own thing. That led to Monolith Soft, that led to Xenoblade, that led to them working under Nintendo's label, and by all accounts, they've been doing some good stuff under there. But here's the thing. Does that make Xenoblade 1 the spiritual successor to Xenogears? No, Because Xenoblade 1, this is why I wanted to talk about this in more extent. Xenoblade 1 is not only too safe, it's very dipping their toes into the water, is what I would call Xenoblade 1. It's very clear that everyone involved on Xenoblade 1 wasn't sure if this was going to work. It's very disconnected from everything. And it's very... Sorry, I got my timeline wrong. I thought that happened after 1, not after 0. My bad, Frank Spirit. Then they got kicked off of that team, too. It's very dipped. It's very Force Awakens, right? Here's a Star Wars story. Yeah, several people said, here's Xenogears watered down. Yeah, way heavier on side quests. And way lighter on story in general, way bigger on gameplay, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, given the fact that they weren't allowed to do Xenogears, and they were kicked off of well, we don't know what happened with Bandai Namco, but something happened with Bandai Namco, so they were kicked off as Xenosaga. They probably still wanted to do the same story, which by all accounts they're able to do, because, not going to spoil, but Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3 are a lot more Xenogears than Xenoblade 1 is, my opinion. And I do consider that to be a good thing. I also think that both games have benefited from having better support from the actual management and staff, better resources, and frankly, better tech to be able to pull off some of the crap that they always wanted to do. I'm not going to glaze them. All those games have problems. But to me, it feels like 2 and 3 specifically are the games they kind of have been wanting to do for the last 20 years, right? And Blade 1 was just kind of the, maybe? Kind of a thing. So if anybody interested in Gears, I recommend 2 and 3, and then maybe 1 if you really feel like it. Bladeville asked me to analyze the story of Gears. Okay, so, anime. Okay, no. I'm not sure I have anything really worthwhile to add to this conversation. People have talked about, someone actually asked earlier, and I forgot to mention out loud, people have talked for years and years and years and years about this game. I'm going to go ahead and repeat something I said earlier, because I do believe this. I think that Xenogears in many ways is like Final Fantasy VI. Hear me out for a second. FF6 was obviously a very, very polished product, but as a complete coincidence, several competing, unrelated things kind of collided with each other. And as a direct consequence of that, we got FF6. And that's kind of where Xenogears is at, isn't it? It's very likely that Xenogears would not be the same game. I don't know if it would be as beloved. I don't know if it would be as talked about, but imagine a Xenogears with perfect localization. Or a Xenogears that had actual development time to really flesh out Disc 2. Or Xenogears that had the polishing pass necessary to pull the gameplay up. Would the game still be in the same niche? Maybe niche is the wrong word. The same spot of talked about for years and years and years if all of those things had happened and Xenogears was a better game? I don't know. Japanese homeworld. I can see that. That's a good question, Linrith. But of course, this game has never had any sequels, so who knows? I like Metroid, but not right now. Nope. Nope. That'll do. Yeah, no kidding, Rex. So Blitchville asked what I thought about the story. I gave a one-sentence thing earlier, which was admittedly flippant. I feel like the most engaging part of the plot for me is the cliched obvious thing. It was all just a giant super weapon from space. There's no God. I mean, the closest thing we have to God is the wave existence. That's just a being from a higher dimension. There's no God. There's just this thing that's walking around that made a bunch of slaves in order to try and rebuild itself so it could get on with whatever it was actually doing. I actually do kind of like that idea, and I do like the execution of the idea. The big reveal, yeah, is that it's an alien. Well, actually, that's another... Getting off topic. The big reveal that Deus is just a weapon, is just a robot whose job it is to go and kill things en masse, and is as doing something for some reason. We never do actually find out, and at this point, we never will. And that's all of human history, and all of human society is all built on the bones of this thing that only was ever making ants in order to accomplish such and such, and then the ants push back against the robot and manage to defeat it That's another important aspect of there. I like that. First of all, I'm a big, I'm very much a big fan of freedom of will as a concept. Choice. As I say, choice is sacred. And I'm a big fan of the idea that we can grow beyond our confines, just in general. And I really like the idea that it's so negligent that it kind of allows us to develop to the point where we can challenge it and then eventually usurp it and defeat it. Because we're just nothing to it, right? I like that. The politics of the bidding were okay. Let's see, actually wrote down. I don't know if I have deleted my notes on this yet. There was 13 plots. Let's see. So there's Nikolai and his stuff, which was whatever. Saitan and his plot, which was whatever. Lacan's rebellion against Solaris, which honestly didn't get the screen time it needed. Ramses's plot, I actually did like that. It was consistent. The Zeboim stuff, okay, sure. Ave's political stuff, that was fine. Ave and Kislev stuff, that was fine. The Shavat and Solaris thing. One of the things I liked about the Shavat and Solaris thing, and they did this in both places, separately and in different ways. When you get to the whole game, they emphasize how the two superpowers, who are so ridiculously advanced that we can't even come close. Most people live in huts, right? Wood buildings or stuff made of sandstone is what we see consistently, right? And we have gears that we salvage from a previous civilization, but our actual tech level is way down here, right? Medieval era. And there's these people who live in a floating city and these other people who live in another floating city. And oh my God, they're so super advanced. And they both can totally counteract each other. And they're both mega advanced. We get to Shavat and it turns out most of the people there are not natives. They're refugees who decided to stay on and help take care of it. And it's such a wonderful, yeah, by the way, the unicorn was actually Goofy all along kind of a reveal. If you want credit, if you get the reference. And then they pulled it again with Solaris. The super ultra mega Nazis, who have been the villains for the entire game, are a bunch of lazy idiots who have no idea what they're doing and are critically understaffed to the point where they can barely even function. And maybe have a few years left in them before they'll actually self-destruct, just because they're running out of people and resources. I liked that a lot. That was another one of my favorite plots. Let's see. Graph's plot, screw it, hate it. The Wave Existence plot. I do like what they do with the Wave Existence. Again, a truly alien entity. This is what I mentioned earlier. I think Dakota was bringing up. Something that's literally a dimension up from our 4 dimensions and was dragged down by accident because they invented a theoretical reactor. The Wave Existence is such a fascinating thing, and they sit on that reveal for so long. It was way, way, way into the game before they actually revealed the Wave Existence. They did barely reference it a few times, but they didn't actually showcase any of that until over here, right in the effectively in the outro. I honestly wish they did a little bit more with it, but yeah, and this is something that'll come up in Xenosaga Blade. Anyways, let's see, where was I at? Wave Existence, Cain and the Ministry. I actually liked Cain and the Ministry's counterbalance to each other. Cain, he's sitting there in this giant armored mech suit thing that's got a skull on it, and he just looks. Wait, who was asking about Xenoblade X? Oh, Mr. Red was asking about X. Yeah, Xenoblade X has nothing to do with anything. In fact, I don't recommend playing X, to be quite frank. You think this game is padded. You have seen nothing. I've actually argued for years that Xenoblade X was a tech demo for how to handle things like... Monolith Soft and their software engineers are wizards at handling open worlds. This is not a joke. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they worked on Metroid Prime 4, because they've worked on almost every open world game that Nintendo has pushed out in their first party development since, I think, Breath of the Wild was their first one. And they know how to get that stuff running on like a Wii U and a Switch and whatnot, and running smoothly and running well. That is some optimization and tech wizardry. Again, I've said for years that I think X was the prototype for that. X was them figuring that out. Anyways, moving on. Where was I? Cain looks like he's super evil, and arguably he certainly was at one point in his life. But no, he's actually cool. He's a big good who is here to help and support, and is actually backing Saitan the entire game. Meanwhile, the Ministry is not even existing, really. The game doesn't go fully into this, probably because of localization issues, but there's still enough hints that the Ministry doesn't actually exist anymore. Yeah, I know they talk about their data, the data forms being plugged into the giant sphere, but they don't really act like what I would call sentient beings for the most part. They feel much more like programs, bots, to put it very simply. And so they just kind of keep 30 go to 10ing for the entire game. A lot of their early cutscenes indicate this as well. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. I feel like they just stopped being capable of developing and learning, and so they're just spinning their wheels doing the only thing they know how to do over and over and over. And that's what they do for pretty much the entire game. Even their last... Like, they don't understand why Krellian is trying to stop them from accomplishing their objective, because obviously they have to do their objective. It's their objective. It's the only thing that's important, right? Krellian. I actually like Krellian as a villain. While I was voicing him, I tried very, very hard to sound half asleep half the time without trying to sound bored. I don't know if I succeeded at that. Forgive me if I did. Or forgive me if I failed. But the idea I get from Krellian very strongly, even not just interpretation, but even the text on the screen, is that Krellian is just barely here. He's just going along with it because all of this doesn't matter. And he's been doing this for a really long time, and he's just waiting until it finally gets to the point where he can finally start getting on with it. Yeah, just a complete disconnect. Krellian is definitely the kind of person who does not care about the horrifically awful things he does to everyone. Because why would he? His overall goal is to consume all of humanity into himself and then ascend up to the next dimension. So, by definition, nothing matters except for that goal. It's a true form of monomania. So... he does go out of his way to rub it in at least 3 times that I saw. I did notice that. Deus, of course, we already talked about it. It's just the bot. Myong is the most character we get for Deus. I mentioned in my notes that unlike Cross, which was a singular chain of manipulation by one person, Xenogears is like 12 different people all trying to out-manipulate everyone else. And all of those just, as the course of the game goes, all of those dominoes just kind of slowly start falling on top of each other. Which is another reason why it's so aggravating that Krellian is the one who actually came out on top at the end. Cool. I think that's it. I think that's all my notes. Yep, I'm glancing at this here. I already compared Disc 2 to FF14. I already compared Cloud and Faye to each other. I'm gonna say one last thing. I'm gonna paint a giant target on my back, okay? You ready for this? Rax actually asked a specific question. No, I didn't, J. Palmer, and you will not distract me. I don't think the philosophy or religious stuff is present or relevant. I've heard that said for years. I've found it in my own research as I've been going through it. And the writers themselves talk constantly about how they're inspired by various people. And going back through it, actually paying attention to the words on the page. No. The closest thing they ever come to anything like that is Deus being the demiurge. The fake god, which has a physical form and is taking place here on the earth and blah, blah. And that's kind of it, really. And the concept of a demiurge is extremely prolific in most mythos, actually. I was actually talking about this to a friend of mine. It's one of the most common elements of mythology is the concept of a demiurge. So I'm not even sure that's actually religious or philosophical. That's just narrative at that point, right? And that's it. That's it. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can interpret this, in part because so much of the story isn't there. But what I just see is a fairly straightforward story, to be honest with you. I know that sounds strange, but everything here just makes perfect sense to me. There's a giant ship because the Galactic Federation made a super weapon. Super weapon went. What was the thing that kept happening throughout the course of the game? Oh no, it's out of control. Yeah, so the super one went out of control. That if there's one constant of the Xeno series, it's something going out of control. Anyways, all 3 of the series. So, super weapon goes out of control. They try to contain it. Okay, we're gonna take it over here. It breaks out. Oh no. but the captain is a total badass. And then a crash lands, it's like, okay, I gotta start rebuilding myself. And then it starts this ridiculously long plan. We talked about that, moving on. And here we are. Fast forward a little bit. This is an interesting song to be here. After a while, they eventually, you know, are like, we finally at the point where it could use our bodies in order to rebuild itself, and it can leave the planet and go on with its thing. And meanwhile, the wave of existence is like, could you please get me out of here? I'm just tired of being here. And everyone else is like, can we just keep existing without any of this crap messing with us? And Krellian's like, I will ascend. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of death. Okay, there we go. Done. That's all I got. I still have a lot of paperwork to do before we can start Planescape Torment. I should probably grab lunch somewhere on there, so I'm going to go do that. I hope at least some of you enjoyed. See you next time.